I'm Louis Sartor and I'm one of the two owners of this garden, my wife Trish. She's always had a passion for gardening and for different types of flowers and very colourful flowers, you know, cottagey type flowers. She's inherited that from, I think, her grandmother. I got involved because I got told what to do and I did it as I should. I did what I'm supposed to do and dig the holes and put the rocks in and put the irrigation in and mow the lawns and do things like that. But it does become a little bit addictive. You know, you start early and you finish like on dark, because I'm really OCD about things, you know. It's really common that you see me with my torch on my phone finishing something in just 2 minutes. I've just got to finish mowing this or I've got to finish doing that, you know. But it's just lovely walking around here. You know, the kids come home and they love coming home to this place. And the grandkids love coming over here, and that's sort of the icing on the cake. It served its purpose. It really solidifies the family unit. You know, it's there to be shared, I think. So we started off sort of small and ended up a little bit bigger than what we thought. And one day we woke up and this is what we got left with. It's even surprised us how well it's grown, how well it flowers. And I always think that, you know, really good soil and lots of fertiliser and access to water is really, really important, you know. And in this region, I always say it, that in this region we are so lucky. We have access to water, you know, 12 months of the year virtually. I think the biggest question that we get asked all the time is, you know, do you irrigate? So we irrigate, and whatever I put on the orange trees, I put on the garden as well. So I think I'm probably better at growing roses than I am growing oranges. We've had our garden open on 4 or 5 occasions now. There are 2 parts that Trish and I both really enjoy. One is meeting other gardeners, getting their feedback, and the other thing that we really enjoy about gardening is that it raises money for a charity. It raises money for the community, that hard-earned slice money and cake money and sandwich money, and it's fantastic to watch where that money goes and to see the benefit. So it has a bit of a dual benefit. It has an aesthetic benefit, but it also has a benefit behind the scenes as well that a lot of people don't see. It also promotes this area. We're not just an agricultural area, we're a beautiful area. We might be a long way from any major city, but nonetheless we have a lot to offer because we are so much part of this community and have been so for, you know, since my father arrived in 1956. Trish's father arrived about the same time. I think that plays an important role, that we can continue that generation of feeling proud about being part of this community. So one of our projects was this, and it's a glass house, and I'm a bit of a hoarder. And so I tend to collect anything that looks pretty. I'm a really strong believer in recycling. So, you know, I've bought some old windows, the purple and yellow and white ones, about 35 years ago in Corby Hill on the other side of Leeton. And then those other lead-like windows came out of a place in Sydney, and then the doors, the old French doors, came out of a house in Yamble Street, and the windows at the back there came out of the convent that we had at Hamwood now that it's before it went, and it's become our glass house. People still can't get their head around the purple and yellow and white windows, but it really complements the garden and finishes it off. It creates good balance because we've got buildings on both sides of the garden now. I'm hoping that it'll be filled up soon, and particularly be really handy in winter when we can put some frost sensitive plants in there. We've got an old stove there that, you know, hopefully we're going to do a little bit of cooking outside with, which will bring us back to our really grassroots. You know, I think of our parents when they first came to Australia, and they lived in a little hut that had a dirt floor, and even in summer when they were doing the cooking, it was probably 40 or 50 degrees in there. You know, we can sort of not quite experience the same, but it will be sort of almost similar. You know, we wanted to sort of build a garden that looked mature, that suited the style of the house. The house is a really old house, it's probably over 100 years old, and it gave us a really good format to build a garden around it. Yeah, it's been a real privilege to fix something up and keep it alive and keep keep it continuing. I really like that you can be a little bit creative. Sometimes you've really got to sort of go deep into your brain to try and find out what am I going to do with this thing. But you know, eventually it sort of comes around. I think you can sort of dot things around like that, and they look wonderful. You know, I like that. I think that's a bit of a challenge to be able to put all that together.
You can join us, Trish.
Oh, she's busy doing the washing. She couldn't close the door fast enough.
Yeah.
Oh look, she's closing the window. This is our persimmon tree. It started off because I had a few lanterns and I didn't know what to do with them. I didn't want to just leave them in the shed. And then over the course of a number of years, people dropped off more lanterns and said, would you like to put this lantern up in the tree? It's become our Chinese lantern tree. So it's a bit quirky. I like it. I like to make my own things. And we made that pergola over there, and we've got some of the original street lights in Griffith. So I'll just show over to our new area. Our new area is about, well, we started probably 2 years ago with the planting and the concept of having this little park, and the park's become sort of a little bit more intense than what we thought because there are so many beautiful plants out there. I mean, how do you say no to any of them, you know? Oh, look, there's our first roses coming out. It's a multicoloured rose. She's great with colour. She puts things together. She knows what plants do, you know. She's a bit of a botanical thesaurus, I suppose. And so all she needs is someone to dig a hole and make sure there's water there for her. And off we go. So, and again, with me being a bit of a hoarder and collector, I've collected some old gates there which I saved from a scrap metal guy, and we've had a Furphy water card up the top here forever, and we bought it out of Leeton a long time ago, and it's just a bit of Australiana in the garden, you know. It sort of gives it that Australian feel, because it's that cottagey feel, and the garden starts to flower. Probably started flowering about 3 weeks ago. There's little splashes of colour everywhere, and every time we go to a nursery we try and find something that we haven't got in the garden.
Yeah.
And I think that's a little bit exciting. It's almost like a kid bringing home a new toy.
Yeah.
You know, it really excites us to think that, oh, you know, we can put a plant in the garden and then we watch it and see what it does and see if it survives. Mind you, we haven't, you know, we don't have a 100% strike rate, I can assure you. We've certainly got a bit of a cemetery happening over there, a plant cemetery happening over there. What we've noticed, and not just with our garden but with many other gardeners, is that when you have a large area of plantings like this, it creates its own microclimate. And because of the microclimate, it might be just a tad warmer. You'll find that even though we get a heavy frost, a lot of plants still seem to survive because they're not hit with the full force of the frost. So I think it's amazing how nature sort of looks after itself. And so she's been able to put all these ranunculus in that just flower just beautifully, and she's put in another 250 this year. So in the next couple of years, I'm assuming that once the garden matures a little bit, there's going to be this proliferation of colour, sort of like as an undergrowth, and then you're going to get your roses coming out over the top. Oh, that's very exciting to see things like that, you know. It's almost like an artist taking quite a number of years to finish off their portrait, but nonetheless, it gets done. So, you know what the other thing is? She's so funny, you know. She will just put sticks everywhere. What's a stick for? She goes, you'll see. And it's a bit of a you'll see, because in case it doesn't grow up, then it's like, oh, the stick died. But in case it does grow up, then, you know, she'll say, look, this is what it is. So it's funny, she's planted things about a month ago, and now she's like a little kid, like sort of looking around, finding, oh, I've put this here and I've put that there. Oh, look, it's grown up, and oh, look, it's starting to flower, and she does all these kinds of things. So it's always good value. There's never a dull moment around this place.